Okay, good morning everybody, and Hazak Baruch and Chodesh Tov Muvarach to everyone as we enter the month of Adar, the first day of Adar, Mishenichnas Adar Marbim Besimha, my friends. Today's class is sponsored anonymously for the Refuah Shlema of all Am Yisrael. If you're interested in sponsoring a class or some of these classes, you could please email us info@ejsny.org. My friends, our Perashat Terumah, of course, deals with the building of the Mishkan, the building of the house for God. The idea of a Mishkan, the idea of a house for God is again a difficult thing to understand. But a house we must build for Hashem, that's what He wants. Of course, the idea we know is not that He lives in the house, it's more that He lives in us. Right? God doesn't live in buildings, He lives in builders. Like the Pasuk says, Ve'asuli mikdash ve'shachanti betocham. God says, make for me a mikdash, and then I'll go into you. So we are building a house, but really, as we build, we grow and we become someone that Hashem is worthy to come into and dwell into. In the house, like our homes, there is furniture. There were kelim in the Beit HaMikdash. What was the first piece of furniture that we are commanded to build? Anyone know? What was the first piece of furniture that we build? The Beit HaMikdash and the Mishkan had many pieces of furniture. Not a couch to sit on, not a table to eat on, but furniture for Hashem, so to speak. Furniture to serve God. There were different pieces of furniture. The first one the Torah tells us about was the Aron, the famous holy ark. The ark, of course, had inside of it what? Tablets. It had inside of it the Torah. It had a few other things, but that's primarily what it was used for, the Aron. The Pasuk says, Ve'asu Aron atzei shitim. You should make an Aron out of wood, a certain type of wood. Amatayim v'chetzi orko, and its length is 2.5 amma. Amma v'chetzi rohbo, it's going to be 1.5 wide. Va'ama v'chetzi komato, and 1.5 amot high. Okay, it wasn't so big. It was like a little, imagine a little treasure chest. Okay, a little teva, a little box. V'tzipita oto zahav tahor mebayit u'mechuz tesapenu. It should be plated with gold on the inside and on the outside. So it's wood, but it had gold covering it from the inside and from the outside. Ve'asita alav zer zahav saviv, and you should make for it a golden crown, some type of diadem all around. And you should also make for it, Pasuk says, ve'yatzakta lo arba'te be'ot zahav, 4 rings, and you should put inside the rings badei, poles, and the poles were to stay inside of the ark. Okay, so Google it. What does it look like if you're having a hard time imagining what it looked like? And then on top of this, imagine empty box, you should make a cover. You should make a cover. Okay, a thin cover on top. And what was on top of the cover? The Pasuk says, Ve'asita shnayim keruvim zahav. On top of the cover, there were also these keruvim. Okay, these 2 keruvim. We'll get later on what exactly are keruvim. What that means is very difficult. You should make the kerubim from the same piece of gold that you made the cover. So what would be the easiest way to make a cover and then 2 angels? You make a cover, flat piece of wood, of gold that's covering, and then take 2 angels, 2 kerubim, make them, and then attach them, right? Attach them on top. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened. You have to make, God says, take a big block and make the cover from the same exact piece that you're going to have the kerubim already attached to it. Don't attach them later on. They have to already be attached from its inception. A difficult thing. So 1 kerub on this side, 1 kerub on that side, and they have their wings upwards over the ark, etc. Beautiful. This is the famous Aron. Comes along Rabbeinu Bahye, and he says something beautiful, like always. Here we go. Rabbeinu Bahye, ve'asu Aron atzei shitim. Let them make an Aron. Aron out of etz. What is etz? Wood. So look what he says. Bechol hakelim ne'emar ve'asita. All of the other vessels, it's commanded singular. Ve'asita. As an example, when it came to building another piece of furniture called the menorah, ve'asita. The menorah, right? Then another piece of furniture called the shulhan. There was a certain table. That was also ve'asita. God says, you shall make. Always you shall make, you singular, shall make, ve'asita. Oli keli, the only furniture, piece of furniture that was used, the plural, ve'asu, says Rabbi Bahye, is ours, the Aron. Ve'asu. Ve'asita kaporet, ve'asita shulhan, ve'asita menorah. All of the other ones he observes are written singular. But here it says ve'asu. Why? Tarshu razal, our rabbis learn from here. Amar Rabbi Yehuda bar Shalom, says Rabbi Yehuda in the name of the son of Shalom. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God says, you know why it's plural? Yavohu hakol ve'yasku ba'aron kedeshi yisku hakol ba'torah. Of course, what does the Aron hold? What does it house? What does it represent? The Aron represents the Torah. And if that's the case, then it's only appropriate that it should be written in the plural. Everyone must have a piece, a right to come and study Torah. Torah is not for the rich. Torah is not for the elite. Torah is not for the wealthy. Torah is not for a specific group of people. Everyone has a right to come and learn, and therefore it's written in plural. We know the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avot, Shlosha ketarim hen. There are 3 types of crowns. There is a keter. There's a keter of Torah, the crown of Torah. There's a keter kehuna. There's a crown of Kohanim, and there's a crown of Malchut, crown for a king. Right? There are 3 types of crowns, 3 people that we honor. The crown of Torah, you honor a rabbi. The crown of Kehuna, Kohanim, people that are from the Kohen family, they get honored. They get a first aliyah, etc. And then Keter Malchut, also a king. King also has a special honor that we give to the king. You can't, right? You have to stand up, etc. There's a lot of laws that come to the melech, right? Melech is not only that, a melech cannot forego his honor. When if a king wishes people to not respect him, he's not allowed. He doesn't have that right. So these 3 crowns of Torah, Kehuna, and Malchut are actually symbolized through the 3 different pieces of furniture that existed in the Beit HaMikdash, in the Mishkan. We have the Keter, we have the Aron. Aron represents Torah. The Aron also had around it, like we said earlier, a Zer, a crown of sorts. That represents the crown of the Aron of the Torah. We also have the crown around the Shulhan. The Shulhan represents money. That represents sustenance. That represents the king's job. He's in charge of the economy. So there's a crown representing the crown that he wears. And also the Mizbeah had a crown. That's what the Kohanim would occupy themselves with. The Mizbeah, that was their field. And that also gets a crown representing the crown of Kohanim. But our rabbis tell us, Keter Kehuna, the crown of Kohanim, only if you're a Kohen, or if you come from a Kohen family. If you're not a Kohen, you could try all day. You cannot become a Kohen. It's impossible. You could try to pay the rabbi. You could try to bribe whoever you want. At the end of the day, a Kohen only is, right, the famous joke. Man comes to the rabbi, says, Rabbi, I would really like to be a Kohen, and if you could help me out, I'll pay you $5,000 for your time. Rabbi says, well, I'm really sorry, we don't do that here. He's like, okay, Rabbi, you could, you're playing hardball, I see how it is, okay. So, I'll pay you $10,000, make me a Kohen. The rabbi's like, oh man, it's a lot of money, but I'm sorry, I can't help you out. Maybe down the block, there's other shuls that do such things. I'm a very honest guy. He says, all right, Rabbi, last offer, $20,000, you make me a Kohen right here, right now, I'll give you out a check to the synagogue. So the rabbi, I can't believe it, $20,000 just to become a Kohen. He's like, listen, I really, you're tempting me, but I have to hold my ground. I can't budge. I'm sorry. Again, maybe some guys down the block could help you, other shuls, but I cannot. But I just have one question. Why do you want to be a Kohen so badly? He says, Rabbi, my father was a Kohen, and his father was a Kohen. So I also want to be a Kohen. Rabbi said, you know what? Come here, give me the $20,000 and I'll help you out. Right? Of course, a Kohen is born into it. You can't become a Kohen from the outside. Same thing with the king. If you are not from David HaMelech straight down, you cannot be a king. However, the Keter Torah, the Keter of the crown of Torah is Munah. It's right there. Come and get it. To come and learn, there's no requirements. We don't ask you, are you Kohen or Levi or Israel? Are you rich or are you poor? Do you come from this family? Do you come from that family? Everyone has a right to come and learn Torah. Right? And that's why it says that Rabbeinu Bahye, the commandment for building the ark is written in plural. Everyone has to come and grab a piece of this aron. Hence, ve'asu, the word is plural. Okay. And he continues and says, ve'aderech hapshat, haya ha'aron kemin teva miyuchedet, la'atzniya betocha luchot ha'edut. The ark was a sort of box that you could put inside of it, a big box, you could put inside of it the tablets. U'mepnei she'atorah hi reshit, because the Torah is always obviously first. Lekach kedam ha'aron, that's why the aron is mentioned first, before all the other vessels. The first vessel that we speak about is the aron. And you know why it's called an aron? He says, Umash nikra aron, milshon ora, from the word or, from the word aron, aron which we use today as a box, as a chest, is also actually comes from the word ora, light. Al shehatorah shebetocho nikrat or. You know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Why was it called a box? It's called in Hebrew an aron because the Torah was placed in it. So it actually got its name from the first thing that a box was ever used for, at least in the Mishkan, in Judaism's world, in the world of Judaism. Okay. And then he goes now over here into the height, and he points out that it was 10 tfahim high, and he continues and says a lot of other things, very complicated, very deep over here. He does all the math. He shows you how every vessel was 10. Even the menorah, everything, if you want to look into it. I don't want to go into that right now, but look into it. It's a beautiful piece. Everything really has somehow the number 10 in it. Okay? We spoke in the past how the world was created with 10 sfirot. And if the world was created with 10 sfirot and Mishkan is a miniature 10, it's a miniature world, so it only makes sense that it should also be built with the number 10. So the dimensions of the world, 10 sfirot, and the Mishkan was built also with 10, many 10s. Like we said, the Aron was 10 high, right? Because it was amatayim v'heti. Amav v'heti was 1.5 amot high, which is 9, plus the cover is 1, which is 10. So that's the height of the Aron is 10. And Shulhan, the table, also it's 1.5 high with a covering on top of it, 10. The menorah had also the number in it, 10. The height of the whole Mishkan, each beam was 10. He goes on and on. There were 10 coverings for the roof. A lot of 10. Now we understand why. I think it connects a little bit to yesterday's class about the Chokhman Binah Dat, and it's right, 10 Sfirot. Okay, fine. Let's fast forward to the same vessel, but now to the Kerubim that we spoke about. Ve'asita shnayim Kerubim zahav. He says over here, Al derech hapshat hakruvim b'mikdash u'mishkan. He says on a simple level, the keruvim that we had in the temple, in the tabernacle, was a mofet. Right? Today people think tabernacle is a restaurant. Tabernacle is the English word for mishkan. Okay? So he says the keruvim on top of the aron were a testimony lemetziut malachim, for the fact that there are such things as angels. Shekshem shenitzavinu be'emunat metziot Hashem yitbarach. The same way we're obligated to believe in a God, which is the first rule, like the first commandment, Anochi Hashem Elokecha. Also, we're obligated to believe in such things as angels. I don't know if you knew that. Nitzavinu la'amin be'metziut ha'malachim. The second tenet of our faith, there are angels. Hem hamashpi'im koach ha'sechel masimim ha'dibur b'fi ha'nevi'im. Angels are the intermediaries that Hashem communicates with the prophet through. Hashem doesn't talk to the prophet. Hashem sends an angel to talk to the prophet. So we have to believe in angels. If we don't believe in angels, we don't believe in prophecy, we don't believe that the Torah comes from the heavens. And therefore, it's all intertwined. And therefore, therefore God wanted that on top of the Aron, they should place Keruvim, which were like angels. They had wings. So, when we see the keruvim, we realize keruvim are real, angels are real. So why were there two? Why not the million or one? We don't want you to think that this maybe is what God looks like. If we only made one, you would think this is Hashem. I'm praying to the angel. This is God. And therefore we made two. You say, but wait, how does that help? Maybe I'll think that there are two gods. Quoting the Rambam over here, the fact that the angels had their wings pointed upwards shows that they're receiving the energy from above, from Hashem, and therefore there's no thinking that these two angels are both deities. They're receiving their energy from God, but it's something that we believe in. We believe in angels. The Rambam speaks about it in his book, in the Mishneh Torah. It's one of the, again, tenets of our faith to believe in Malachim. And through the Malachim is how Hashem communicates with men. Rashi, though, comes along and says, what is a keruv? Very interesting word. Demut partzuf tinok lahem. These angels, they had a face of a child. If you look, many of the paintings of the frescoes, you see in Da Vinci and Michelangelo, they drew all these kerubim, all these angels were babies. Right? You ever see on the ceilings, painted all over in, maybe you saw pictures, you can't go into a church, but maybe you've seen in pictures of churches, of ceilings, they draw little babies flying, right? Where do they get that from? That's from right here. The kerubim, Rashi says, Demut partzuf tinok lahim. They had a face of a baby. Beautiful. The word cherub in English actually means child. That's where it comes from. It comes from here. So this is what Rashi says. So on top of the Aron, you had two beautiful children with wings, angels that had faces of a child. The word keruvim, Rabbi Jacobson has a beautiful piece of here. He points out that the word kerubim, my friends, appears somewhere else in the Torah. Let's see who knows. Take a guess. Where else do we find the word kerubim? Do you remember? Before. You gotta go all the way back. Let's go back to the very beginning. Okay? All the way back to the sin of Adam eating from the forbidden fruit. Remember that? Hashem told Adam not to eat from the tree. Etz hada'at tovara. And Adam, of course, came home one night and his wife handed him a little fruit. He started eating it. Wow, this is really good. What is this? She says, oh, well, it's that tree over there that God said not to eat from. Of course, Adam, it was too late. He already ate. And God comes and says, what'd you do? You ate from the one tree I told you not to eat from. And Adam, what does he say? It's not my fault, it's the wife's fault. Which is what we always do ever since. We've always blamed the wife. So Adam blames his wife. And God then punishes him. He punishes his wife. He punishes the snake. Everyone's punished. And the pasuk says, Vaygaresh et ha'adam. He drives men out. Vayashken mekedem legan Eden. He stations him east of the Garden of Eden. I don't know if you look for it today, if you'll find the Garden of Eden. But Adam was placed on the east of it. Where I don't know where it is. But if you know where it is, please let me know. But he positions him on the east of the garden. And right? Et ha-keruvim ve'et lahat ha-herev mitapechet l'shmor et derech etz ha-hayim. Wow. Here we go. Here we have it. Kerubim. And right here, God places keruvim and a revolving sword to guard the way to the tree of life. So here you have the keruvim, the very same keruvim that we have on top of the ark, are right here in Gan Eden, blocking with a sword that's revolving, some type of Vitamix, I don't know exactly what it was, blocking, making sure that nobody comes in. So here we have the other keruvim, and you would expect Rashi to say, what is a kerubim? An angel that has a beautiful face of a child, right? And if you look at Rashi though, Rashi says, kerubim, back in Bereshit, in Genesis, you know what kerubim are? Malachei habala, angels of destruction. In Hebrew, a mehabel is a terrorist. Here we have the word keruvim. Rashi uses to mean demon. And then later on in our parasha, the word angel is used to mean, the word kerubim is used to mean an angel, a child. So what is it, an angel or demon? Okay? An angel or demon. What is a kerubim? This is the question. Beautiful question. Is it an angel of destruction, or is it a beautiful face of a young child? But the answer is, my friends, that a kerubim depends on where it is. It depends on its environment. If you want to know why a keruv over here becomes one and a keruv over here becomes another, you have to just look simply at where is this keruv positioned, where is it placed. In creation, the keruv was positioned where? By the etz hada'at. What is an etz hada'at? Etz hada'at was one tree God said to Adam, don't eat from. You can have everything in life. Just stay away from this one little etz hada'at, one little tree. And you know what Adam said? No. I want everything. No limits. I want to have it all, whatever I want, whenever I want. And Adam falls when you live a life of looking to satisfy every craving, never putting anything off limits, never saying no, never controlling either what you eat or what you say or what we smoke or anything. A person who non-stop just has no limitations. You know what will end up happening? Adam gets kicked out of Gan Eden, gets kicked out of paradise. And not only that, there are angels of destruction. If we raise our beautiful children, who are beautiful, gifts from Hashem, but if we raise them in the lap of luxury, giving them everything possible, never training them about what's called responsibilities, teaching them that whatever you want, you could have. The world is yours to enjoy. It's at your disposable. When we raise our children, when we raise ourselves, when we grow up in a world, if we're in a relationship and our only care and concern is what am I going to get from this other person? What are they going to give me? How am I going to benefit from this? If we enter and our worry is rights, if our concern are what are my rights, what am I entitled to, which is the country that we live in, the world that we live in. The world that we live in was built on 10 Bill of Rights. 10 rights. If you're focused on your rights and he's focused on his rights, that society is going to collapse. There's no way it's going to be able to function properly. If everyone's looking to take, if I give two people a blanket and they go to bed and each one's pulling the blanket, no one's going to be warm. So long that we're focused on ourselves and on getting and on gaining, that child, that kerub, will become a malache habala. But when you take that same child and you put him on top of the holy ark, and what was inside the ark, like we said, it was called an aron because it had inside of it the or, the Torah. When you take a child and you teach him not rights but responsibilities, when you teach him commandments, when you teach him that you have in life to serve, to do, when we raise our kids like that, when we raise ourselves in a way that we remind ourselves that we are here not to get, not to benefit, not to receive, but to give, to contribute. I'm here to serve. I'm not in this marriage for myself. I'm here in this marriage for the other person. When I realize that, then that child grows up to be a beautiful angel. A demut partzuf tinok lahem. Beautiful, beautiful winged angel that's going to fly and reach amazing levels, amazing heights. It all comes down to the question of how do we want to view ourselves in this world. One president said, take a guess, it's a very famous quote, so feel free to write in your guess who was this president. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country, right? Anyone know? Ask not. Okay, good. Excellent. JFK. Hazak Baruch. Okay, so this is really a Jewish idea. So long that we're asking, what's my country going to do for me? What are my rights? What am I going to gain? We grow up entitled. When we grow up entitled, we're not going to have a successful anything. The moment we are focused on ourselves is the moment that relationship starts to crumble. And once I start thinking about the other person though, once I start thinking about my country, once I start thinking about others, once I start thinking about doing, It was an Israeli Supreme Court justice who said to an American Supreme Court justice, the difference between Israel and America is that in America, they have 10 Bill of Rights. In Israel, they have the 10 Commandments. The difference between having a society that flourishes and thrives or not is whether we view ourselves here as people that are looking for rights or whether we are here looking to do commandments. When we raise our kids in a world of commandments, of Torah, obligations, there's responsibilities. Ask not what the Torah is going to do for me. Ask not what God's going to do for me. Ask what am I going to do for God? What am I going to do for my people? What am I going to do for my nation? And this is, my friends, the story of Purim. As we enter the month of Adar and we start thinking ahead a couple of weeks, Purim is right around the corner. And our rabbis tell us that Haman, the word Haman, the name Haman, is actually found in the Torah. The Gemara says, Masechet Hulin, Haman meha Torah minayin. Where do we find Haman in our Torah? Beautiful, interesting question. If everything's alluded to in the Torah, where is Haman alluded to? Our rabbis say, Haman is found all the way in the beginning. Hamin ha'etz. God says to Adam, Hamin ha'etz. Did you eat from that tree that I told you not to eat from? Hamin. Hey, mem nun. Same letters as Haman. So Haman, Hamin. This is very cute. But come on. What exactly are our rabbis over here saying? This is like, talk about a stretch. It's a little bit of a stretch. You know, Haman, you found me a different word, Hamin. Right? It's like saying, many words in Hebrew could look alike, but they're very different words. Moshe was Moshe. Okay? Miseh means from a sheep. Same spelling, mem, shin, hey, but they mean two different things. You didn't really find me Haman in the Torah. You found me Hamin. It's a different word altogether. It's really the word min. Mem nun, not Haman. Not only that, but why are the rabbis so obsessed with finding where's Haman in the Torah? Who cares? Does it matter? Where's Mordechai in the Torah? Where's Esther in the Torah? Okay, very nice. You found me a word. And if you didn't find it, then what? Then it means that the story didn't happen? Like, what exactly are they trying to prove? The story is real. It's a real story. It's in our Tanakh. So whether you find it in the Torah or not, it's irrelevant. I mean, do we do that with other holidays? Chanukah in the Torah minayin. We don't really do that with Chanukah. Right? JFK, where is JFK in the Torah? We don't really do that with JFK. Right? Or Truman or any other president. Where all of a sudden we care about Haman. So you know what it is? Our rabbis are telling us that Haman, I don't care about his name. Really, it's much deeper than that. Haman was someone who had everything. But you would think, having so much like him, he would be the most happy, successful person. Eventually Haman is hanged. He gets killed. Why? What led to his downfall? What led to his downfall was one Jew who didn't bow down to him. Everything else he had power, everyone bowed down to him. He had money, he had everything except for one. Haman didn't look at what he did have, he looked at what he didn't have. He lived his life, what am I missing? He lived a life of entitled, of rights. I want everything. When you live like that, Haman eventually said, you know what? Even one Jew not bowing down, I want to kill him. And then that led to his downfall. If Haman would have just stayed quiet, he would have had a very happy life. But he couldn't. Because Haman was raised like cherubim of demons, cherubim of destruction, cherubim of give me more, I want more. Never happy. Not sameach b'chilko. Our rabbis say, in life, if you're not happy today, I could give you another $1 million, you still won't be happy. Because happiness has nothing to do with how much you have. Happiness has everything to do with how much you appreciate what you have. If you don't appreciate what you have, you won't appreciate it tomorrow. What if I give you more? Guaranteed. Because when I give you more, you're going to want more. Haman had it all except for a little bit. And that's a little bit that he couldn't go to sleep. He couldn't find happiness in his life because of that little bit. Our rabbis want to know, where does that trait come from? That a person had everything except for a little bit. Our rabbis say, very easy. Hamina etz. Adam, Did he eat from that one little tree I told you not to eat from? Little tree. Did you eat from that little tree? You couldn't just have a good, happy life with 1 billion trees. You needed 1,000,000,001. 1 billion wasn't enough, Adam? The one tree that I gave off limits. Off limits! Adam said, off limits? What's that? No such thing as off limits. No. Everything's on limits. Everything is mine. Don't tell me I can't have it. If I want it, I'll find a way to have it. This is what deep down Adam was thinking. I want it, I'll find a way to get it. God says, no, some things in life are off limits. Adam said, no, thank you. That was the mistake of Adam, and that's the mistake of Haman. That's what led to the downfall, my friends. That's what led to the downfall. And you know what eventually he says? V'chol zeh einenu shoveh li. Haman says, it's all not worth it. Because I see one Jew who doesn't bow down to me. This is the story of Purim. So as we enter the month of Adar, my friends, and we're searching for Simcha, we have to realize that Simcha is something that we already have. We just have to open our eyes and realize it. We have to open our eyes and count the blessing. Don't count what we're missing. If we want Simcha, we have to live a life of responsibility. We have to live a life of doing, of giving, of what can I do for my country? What can I do for my people? Esther, she was hiding under her little mask, safe, protected from the decree of Haman, because no one knew she was Jewish. The decree wasn't going to hit her. It was going to affect the Jews, but not her. And Mordechai says, Esther, you're thinking like the Keruvim in Bereshit. You're thinking like the Kerubim back in the story of Adam HaRishon, where you're only focused on what you are going to gain from this. You're not thinking about your people. You're not thinking about others. And know, Esther, that if you think for 1 second that by thinking about yourself, you're going to actually be saved and survive, and you'll be spared, the exact opposite will be fine. The Torah is going to manage. The Judaism will survive. Ve'at ubet avich tovedu. It's you that will be destroyed. You will become a malache habala. You will become an angel of destruction when you think of only yourself. And Esther learned the lesson. She says, you're right. And she turned from a person who was selfish, and she pointed outward. She thought outward. She thought of other people. And she decided to risk herself for the sake of Am Yisrael. And what ended up happening? Not only did she save them, she saved herself. She ended up being saved, and she also had a book named after her, Megillat Esther. She ended up being remembered forever, not forgotten forever. So my friends, as we enter the month of Adar, we must ask ourselves, what kind of person are we? What kind of mentality do we bring to the table? Am I a person that's looking, how will they bless me? How will they serve me? What are they going to give me? And we wake up in the morning, all right, God, what will you do for me today? Or you could wake up in the morning and say, all right, God, how can I serve you today? Hashem, what can I do? How am I needed? I'm here to serve. I'm not a 10 rights person. I'm a 10 commandments person. 10 commandments. I'm here to do. When I'm here to do, I actually build myself into becoming a beautiful, angelic, child-faced tzaddik, tzaddikah person that is able to become a keruv of light, keruv of or, bringing the light of the Torah to the entire world. I think this is really a very, very powerful lesson. To think, to be other-centered, to think of others. This is the lesson from the Megillah. This is the lesson from our Parashat Terumah. You know, this is a time that's very expensive, my friends. A lot of people collecting tzedakah. And it gets hard sometimes. It gets hard when you're in shul. I don't know about you guys, but where you are. You know, we get a lot of people. You know, it's the Safra shul. They come, they think a lot of money here maybe. I'm sure where you are it's maybe the same. And sometimes it gets a little bit hard, like, come on, how many people already? It's 50 people. By the time you walk out the door, $50, $1 each. If it's $1 each, you know, it can be expensive. But we have to realize that we're not doing them a favor when we give. The truth is, we're receiving much more than what we give. Ultimately, when we give tzedakah, you have to realize that you are guaranteeing your own future. They asked Sir Moses Montefiore, how much are you worth? So he put the numbers together and he gave them the amount. They started laughing. He said, come on, you're worth much more. He said, no. He asked me how much I'm worth, how much I have, how much wealth I have. There's a lot more. You're right. That's not how much I'm worth. How much I'm worth is only the amount that I gave to tzedakah. That's the number that I showed you on the piece of paper. I have a lot more. That's not what I'm worth. That's not really money that's mine, really. I could one day lose it. What I'm worth is what I've given. That's who I really am. That's what I'm really worth. A person needs to remember that the money that we give is the only money that we're going to be insured to take with us to the next world. Everything else we could lose, we could forfeit. Money comes, money goes. But the tzedakah that we give, v'tzidkato omedet la'ad. The tzedakah that we give will last for us for a lifetime. Hashem should bless us in this beautiful month of Adar, to be able to open our eyes, to be other-centered, to think of other people, to think not what is God going to do for me, but what can I do for my God? To ask, what am I going to do for my people? Like Esther learned to ask at the end. To not think of myself as here to receive, of entitlement, of rights. To realize that certain things in life are off limits. There are things that are not for me. I'm not here for me. Anyways, I'm here for God. I'm here for other people. When a person lives like that, they will be able to grow up to be a beautiful ambassador of truth, of peace, of hope, of light, of kerubim, like Rashi says, demut partzuf tinok, with the features of a beautiful child. Amen. Okay, we'll stop over here, everybody. Have a wonderful, blessed day, and Rosh Chodesh. We'll see you, God willing, tomorrow. Bye-bye.